It is a pleasure to be joined by UFC interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall, who will run things back with Curtis Blaydes in the UFC 304 co-main event, July 27 in Manchester, England. Tom, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. It's going good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. Now, I know initially when they had announced this card being overnight, you had kind of your hesitations. I think everybody did, which is fair enough. But you have kind of any insight as to why Manchester specifically happens to be in the middle of the night? Because we had Bisping and Henderson run things back in the day, and that was middle of the night. But UFC 286 in London was standard time. So you have kind of insight why Manchester specifically tend to do the pay-per-views middle of the night?
Well, only rumours, so I can only tell you some hearsay stuff. So I don't know if it's true, but
Yeah.
I heard that that date was saved for. It was supposed to be Salt Lake City, I believe. So it was going to be on US time anyway, and because they already had like the TV deal in place or whatever, they had to stick on the same time. So I've heard. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard. Obviously, as you said, I've kind of been lobbying for. I've been doing a bit of complaining here and there, just voicing my opinion, which I always do. I always try and be as honest as I can. But you know, we hit. I was hit with some resistance by the UFC on that. I was told that the time's not changing, but you know what? I think regardless of the times, I think the fights are so good that people are still going to watch it and still going to show it regardless. Like from top to bottom on the card, absolutely unbelievable fight. So either way, I am extremely excited about it.
Yeah, and as you prep for this fight, you also have some exciting news, your partnership with Jose Cuervo. Talk to me a little bit about how that came about, and we'll talk a bit about the one round with Tom Aspinall. But first, talk to me about how it came about.
Yeah, well, I was familiar with Cuervo. Like they're my go-to drink when it comes to tequila. I know all about Cuervo. And when I found out that they were like the official tequila sponsor of the UFC and that they were interested in doing something with me, I was like, absolutely. I was all over it. Like I wanted to be involved. So yeah, they wanted to fly me out to Vegas, do some promo stuff, and that's what we did. And you know, it turned out really good. Like you say, the one round thing and everything. Like it was just, it was great. It was great.
Well, yeah, it's a very fun idea, and basically, if you can help explain a little bit. So it's a blind taste test, correct? They get different kinds of tequilas, and they have to guess which one is Cuervo, and if they're incorrect, it's one round in the octagon with you, right?
Yeah, exactly. So these guys had no idea what was going on. Like they're doing blind taste tests. They basically say some negative feedback on Cuervo. And then before they know it, they're getting flown out to the UFC Apex. They didn't even realize they were going to the UFC Apex. They just thought they were going to Vegas to do some follow up questions or whatever. And it turns out these guys ended up being my quote unquote opponent. And yeah, they get brought into the Apex and like smashing the pads, giving it all kinds of noises and intensity. And uh, they were made to believe that they were going to do one round with me. So I'm smack talking them, I'm intimidating them. I'm obviously a big, strong guy. And some of them guys were pretty scared. So it became pretty interesting. And it was hilarious as well. But it turns out that we got them in the octagon. We did the whole stare down thing. And we are going to do one round together. Obviously, they thought they were my opponents and we're going to do one round of MMA, but it turns out we're actually going to do one round of Cuervo, and it was all pretty hilarious. And I can't wait for everyone to see the commercial stuff and all the filming we did because everyone worked really hard off it. Like I absolutely love working with Cuervo, and I'm proud to be an ambassador for them.
Well, let me ask you this. If you could pick five heavyweights to do this blind test with you, and if they get it wrong, they have to jump into the octagon with you for one round, who would you pick?
Oh well, I mean, all of them. I want to fight anybody. I don't think I'm not one of them guys who's picky, but obviously the number one and number two guy, number one, number two, number three would be Blaydes, Stipe, and John Jones. They're the main three guys, and then we start branching out into others. But the top three people that I'm interested in fighting are them three guys.
Yeah, and you are fighting Curtis Blaydes. You had mentioned that the initial plan was to have Cyril Gane as your opponent. Didn't materialize, but you wanted Blaydes all along, right? Obviously, John Jones title unification was number one, but you kind of wanted Curtis Blaydes from the get-go, right? So was that kind of best case scenario when it ended up being Blaydes?
I mean, I always like lean into some fights more than others. You know what I mean? And I wanted to fight Blaydes because I technically have lost to Blaydes. Like I feel like he deserves a title shot as well over Gan at this point. So I wanted to fight Blaydes because we got history together, history with each other. But the UFC really wanted to push Gan into it, and I was okay with it. You know what I mean? I'm okay to fight anybody. I'm not bothered. But if you're going to ask me my personal opinion, I think that Blaydes deserved it more at that time. But that's nothing to do with me. I'm just a fighter. I turn up and fight people. So if they want me to fight Gan, I absolutely said yeah. But he didn't want to do it. He wanted to do a film. That's what that's what he wanted to do. So I just went along. As always, you tell me a fight and tell me a date, I'm just going to show up. Simple as that. I'm not. I'm here to fight people and nothing else. I'm not trying to do any films or whatever. I'm just. I want to fight people, and it's irrelevant to the opponent. If there's an event in Manchester, you better believe I'm going to be on it.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've listened to any of the interviews Curtis Blaydes has done, but he's been very respectful towards you. He said he considers you the real champion. So, what do you think of his comments?
No, I've not seen any interviews. I'm off social media at the moment, so I'm clear of all that. I like Curtis Blaydes. He's a good guy, really good fighter as well. But that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant if he says good things or bad things about him. We're going good things or bad things about me. Sorry. It's all irrelevant. It's all just talk. We're going to fight each other July 27th, regardless if he's a good guy or not, if he likes me or not, if he says good things or not. It doesn't really matter. Like all that stuff is just irrelevant to me. And I'm training for him to be the toughest fight in my career, and I'm treating him very, very, very serious, more serious than I've ever treated any opponent before.
And you've already had a training camp for him, but obviously, like you said, you guys didn't exactly get to fight. He's fought twice since he's fought you. Have you learned anything since that first training camp for Curtis Blaydes? Anything that was eye-opening? Because obviously he had the knockout loss to Pavlovich, where perhaps he stood a little bit more than people expected. And then he was on the defensive end in terms of grappling against Jailton Almeida, which we're not accustomed to seeing him have to do, right? So what did you kind of learn from his past two appearances?
Well, I learned quite a bit, but I'm not going to start telling you. Because if Curtis Blaydes watches this, he'll know what to focus on, and I don't want that. So yeah, we there's a few eye-opening moments there that we weren't quite aware of as much before. But that's fighting, isn't it? Like anything can happen, and ultimately, Curtis Blaydes is a very, very dangerous opponent, and I'm treating him as that. You know what I mean? He's really, really good, and yeah, there's some stuff that I was unaware of before. I'm sure there was, I'm sure he's watched my fight, and there was stuff there that he was unaware of before. That the more footage, the better. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've both changed a lot since the first time we fought, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, he's off social media too, so you can say. But no, I'm kidding. But in terms of his fight against Jailton, like I said, we kind of got to see his defensive grappling. What did you think of his takedown defense and obviously his patented razor blades finish? What did you think of that performance?
Well, we know that if Blaydes hits you, he's so dangerous. He's a heavy puncher. As you said, his defense isn't something that we've seen too much of before in the octagon. It's difficult with a guy like Almeida because Almeida's just trying to hold him the whole time. Yeah, he couldn't really escape because he had his grip together a lot. He couldn't really get out of his grips. But at the same time, if Almeida actually tried to do any damage, I'm sure Blaydes would have escaped a lot easier. The guy was just trying to hold him. So if you're just trying to hold, it's pretty difficult to escape. If he actually would have tried to do any damage or attack submissions or anything, there would have been a lot more openings for Blaydes to get up and start his own attacks. And there just wasn't because, in all honesty, Almeida just makes it boring a lot of the time. He's just trying to hold. So Blaydes did the right thing in the fight.
That being said, because we obviously see Curtis on the offensive in terms of his grappling in a lot of his fights, do you think he's going to come out with a strong, heavy grapple approach against you, or do you expect him to stand with you a little bit?
I don't know. I'm preparing for everything. Curtis Blaydes is good everywhere. I think he's one of the most complete fighters in the heavyweight division. And he's got heavy hands, he's got good kicks, He's got good grappling, good submissions, good ground and pound, like good cardio. He's good everywhere. I have to prepare for everything. This is the top level of MMA. If you're underprepared in any area, it's going to get exposed. So I'm looking forward to challenging myself on the 27th of July. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I know you said you're off social media, so I'm guessing the answer is going to be no. But there's that UFC documentary that came out that showed us like a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and one of the clips was how your fight with Pavlovich came together, and they showed the phone call Hunter had with you. But initially, they were talking about Makhachev and it's Makhachev and Oliveira too, potentially as that to save UFC 295. Were you aware of that? And kind of what are your thoughts? If you could like rewind back to that time of getting that fight together for 295.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that until I've not seen the documentary. I've seen clips. That's all. I wasn't aware of it at all about that. I just knew that they offered me the fight. I'm glad that it was my fight, obviously, instead of their fight, and I'm happy it played out the way it played out because it's put me in a really good spot. So I'm really, really happy and grateful it was me and not any of them guys because I got what I wanted in a selfish way. So no, I've not managed to see it, but I will watch it at some point. But right now, the focus is training only.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of debate recently about pound for pound number one, kind of split opinions with some people saying John Jones, he's a two-weight division champion, and then some people saying Islam Makhachev has been a lot more active. How about you? Who do you think is the number one pound for pound fighter?
I think that pound for pound fighters and pound for pound rankings is some of the stupidest, silliest, most ludicrous concepts that anyone could ever make up. It's a hypothetical thing. What are you going to do? Make everyone in the world the same size and have them fight each other? It's impossible. Like, it's a stupid argument. You get all these nerds online arguing about, oh, if this guy was the same size as this guy, who would win? Like, what's the point? What's the point? It's like saying if a monkey and a giraffe were the same size, who would win in a fight? It's just ridiculous. It's just absolute ludicrous talk. So these pound for pound rankings and pound for pound, I can't believe people actually care about that, to be honest. It's silly.
So that being said, you wouldn't like fighting for that spot. None of that stuff matters to you. Like you would care to one day want to be the number one pound for pound.
Right. I'm 260 pounds right now. If you're going to make me fight Demetrius Johnson, for example, who's 125 pounds, who do you think's going to win?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't prove who's going to win pound for pound. So what's the point in considering it? Like it's like saying, right, if Ronda Rousey was a male, would she beat Dustin Poirier in a fight? Like it's ludicrous talk. It's stupid. What's the point in talking about it? Waste of breath.
All right, I'll move on then. In terms of John Jones, obviously you've been asked about him a lot, and it's not in your control. You've obviously vocalized it many, many times that you're willing to fight him. If you don't end up getting to fight him, does it matter to you at all? Is it gonna be that damn that one fight that got away, or at this point are you like past it?
I mean, I'd like it. Obviously, I've been rallying for it for a long time. I've not got the fight, and I don't know if it's ever going to happen. But I'm not really that bothered. Like, I am here to create my own legacy. I'm trying to be great myself, and I don't need John Jones to do that. If I could get that, fantastic. Like, I really think I can beat him, but I ain't focused on that right now. To be honest, I'm just thinking about Curtis Blaydes, and that's it.
Now you represent kind of the future of the heavyweight division. A lot of people, when they look at you, they think that super well rounded. You're obviously have done great things in the octagon. Do you feel like the state of the heavyweight division now is the best it's ever been in the UFC?
Yeah, I think if you look from like number 1 to number 10, number 15 in the rankings, maybe just the top 15, yeah. I think the top 15 are way better than any other top 15 we've ever had. I think that right now, the skill level and the next few years, maybe the next 5-6 years in the UFC and the heavyweight division, it's just going to be like all the guys who can do everything, who are super athletic, who start looking more like the smaller guys. Do you know what I mean? Because generally speaking, in all honesty, we're not as good as the big guys, as the smaller guys technically, because we don't need to be as good. You know what I mean? One shot changes everything in the heavyweight division. It does in any division, but especially especially in the heavyweight division. So we definitely catch in the other divisions in terms of skill, but we're not quite there yet. But in the next 5-6 years, I'm sure we're going to get there with guys like me and other guys. I'm not going to name any other guys. I'm not giving anyone else any shine, but guys like me.
I was waiting to see who you were going to say. Well, Tom, as we wrap up, obviously you've had incredible knockout finishes. You've shown off your ground game in a lot of your fights. What does the perfect scenario look like for you at UFC 304?
Me running across the cage, punching Cyril, punching. You have me thinking about Cyril Gane now. I'm not even punching Curtis Blaydes as hard as I can in the face and him falling over after 10 seconds without me getting hit. That's the best case scenario.
All right, there you have it. Well, Tom, I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much. On behalf of everybody, I mean, I'll be there in Manchester. Thank you for campaigning and trying to make it regular timing. We appreciate your effort, but nonetheless, it's going to be an incredible night. So thank you so much for your time. Best of luck, and I'll see you out in Manchester.
I'll see you there. Thank you.